I don't know if you guys are ready for this yet, but we're going to dive right in. By the time we're done here, we will apply variable length subnet masking to a very real network design. So where I'm going here is kind of stepping. I'm just going to talk, okay? Just hang with me for a second. I'm going to just kind of step into the world of the real, and let me say it this way. Sometimes I get the question. People go, "Why don't you talk about the certification more? Like what's on the exam and what?" And I'm like, "Because that's not really my goal." And I'm like, "Huh? What?" Don't get me wrong. I think you should get certified. I think everybody should get certified because certification pushes you into stuff that you wouldn't normally learn otherwise, opens your eyes to a lot of things, and gives you a great credential if you're just getting started in the world of technology to be like, hey, I know something. And that's great. But that's not my goal. My goal is to really get you to understand this stuff and fall in love with it, because the truth is you love what you know what you love, right? Do you guys know why? Why do you think Cisco and Microsoft and any technology vendor, any vendor is spending millions and millions of dollars on these certification programs? It's not so they can have people with certificates. It's because they know if they, I'm going to use a strong word. That's not what I mean. If they indoctrinate you, if you are like, I know Cisco left and right, then when you get to your next job, when you get hired, what are you going to buy? What are you going to recommend? Of course, you're going to be like, I know this is the best. I know this. I know how to do it. So that's, they know that you're going to fall in love with it. And so that's my whole goal is I'm like, I just want you to fall in love with this stuff to where you're like, yeah. And like that's why I'm like, ooh, like, now go. Like I'm like a little bird, like fly, because there's nothing that will stop you. Nothing. Once you really get that jive going. So what am I doing here? What I want to do is I want to take you into the mindset of where the whole idea for this topology and where the whole idea for how I'm teaching subnetting this time around. So rewind. 10 years ago, I started a company called VIA. Essentially, it does the stuff that I teach. It's now 10 years old. It's up to 31 people, and it's continuing to grow. What we do is we literally roll out networks. We roll out managed services. We do all kinds of things. And a couple years ago, I was taking on this customer. They had about 20-ish locations. Their network was just messy, and not any fault of anybody. It was just like it had one office. It grew, and it's just like, okay, you just keep adding. And they're like, okay, stop now. Let's do this right, because we're really growing fast. It's time to systematize, right? So let's do this well. And we sat and we talked. And I'm going to talk to you. This is why I'm like, I don't know if you're ready for this, but I want you to be. Because what you're going to see is the connection between concept of like subnetting, variable length, like all this stuff that we've been talking about, and how it really works. Cool with that? Hang with me. Here we go. So this picture, which is what I've been using all this time, has been temporary up till now, because now I can show you how this is real. See, that picture is actually a picture of what was brought to me on how this client works. The client that I'm talking about, I'm not going to give you their name, but essentially I'll tell you what they do. They help disabled people. So they have people that have severe disabilities, extreme ADHD, Down syndrome, all that kind of stuff. They come into the office and they're like, please help me. So they have workers that they hire in these offices to help all of these people, right, that are coming in. So when I say the reason I'm telling you this is I want you to understand, like when you see 180 clients. That's the people that they're helping, that are coming day in, day out, day in, and all these workers are helping that. They have, about 12 admins in this lead office, and these are the people that do the administrative work, meaning they're the one who answers the phones, they do the emails, they're the one who gets the supplies ordered, all that kind of stuff, right? They don't actually, they help the clients, but their primary focus is to be administrative. So this business is growing, it's doing well, and the way that they spread is they start these offices, but they don't start as a quote unquote lead office, they start as like little plants. Like they go to Nevada, and I'm making up locations right now, but it's the same thing that they do. And they start an office, and that office might have 5 employees. It's the first office in the region. Florida, same thing, 5 employees. They just get a little thing. Is it going to take hold? That's the big question that they're asking. Is this the market for us? Is there enough clientele and that can be here? And most of the time the answer is absolutely yes. So that office will continue to grow, whichever one goes there first, and grow and grow and grow, and then boom, then it starts spanning all these little sub offices. And the sub offices are smaller because they don't have to hire all the administrative staff. They don't have to hire all the financial folks and the HR folks, because the lead office of the region supports all those little sub offices, right? It's a pretty cool business model. So the reason that you're like, okay, I get it. Why do I have to know the business? Yeah, absolutely. That's why I'm like, let's glue the concept together between subnetting and the real world. I'm like, how could you ask that question? You didn't even ask the question, but I'm like, how could you think that? Because without knowing the business, you can't design the network. The network must align with it. Take a look. So what we did. And by the way, this came through a ton of conversation. This is not like Jeremy just, oh, well, here's my template. No, this is like I'm talking with them. Okay, what do you do? Tell me what you have. How's your, and so they have a bunch of typically, in this office, you have all of the devices you would normally have, and they're not like, well, we got 15 WAPs and the SSIDs. I mean, that's not how they talk. That's how you and I talk, right? They're like, yeah, we've got people, and we've got and so I'm like, okay, well, let me look at your server. Oh, you got a couple servers there. Oh, that's great. And then you got all these switches, and it looks like you got a couple routers bringing in the all that kind of stuff. So right there, I'm like, by the way, I'm telling you, that's why I'm like, this might be over your head, but I think you're going to get this. This is how you design VLANs. VLANs are your way of taking one network and going, let's break it into multiple. Best way that we can describe that is think of the BYOD world, right? What is BYOD? It's people bringing all their stuff from home, laptops, smartphones, tablets, all that stuff, the smartwatch, everything, into the network that you're managing and expecting that they're going to get internet access from you. And the truth is, in our modern world, it's like, yeah, we'll do that, but we're gonna scalpel you off to where you will not mess with our stuff. Like if you come in with some ransomware, malware, infected thing that's gonna like take down the whole system, I'm gonna put you in a little bubble to where you just kind of stay over there, right? I'm isolating you. Just get to the internet. That's the perfect reason that we would design a VLAN. So the VLANs in a business like this, we would say, okay, well, we're gonna have a VLAN. And I said this earlier, but I'm going to say it again. A VLAN equals a subnet. You need a unique network, a unique subnet for each VLAN. We're going to create a VLAN for servers and management. So all of the servers that are there, all of the WAPs, they all have IP addresses because you got to be able to access them, to control them and configure them. You've got your printers, your surveillance, so essentially anything with a static IP address, which kind of supports that device. We're putting those in a bubble. We're calling that the server and management network. Okay, right? Voice over IP. We've got phones all over the place at this office, 150 of them or so. They're in every room. They're if you have an emergency, you hit this button, all that kind of stuff. So 150 phones, right? Okay, client devices. These are the devices. You're a new employee, you're hiring in. They're like, congratulations, welcome to our organization. You get a thing, a laptop, we'll just say. And that laptop is already equipped with antivirus and anti-malware, and it automatically joins the domain and accesses all the resources. It gets the printer. It's like pre-configured. It's a managed device. Those are the ones that are going to be in the client devices. And then I already talked about this, the public, the BYOD, people sitting in your lobby and saying, I want to get online. Like that's what those are for. So, okay, that's good. Now you're like, you haven't even said a thing about subnetting. That's where I'm going to go right now, because, and that's where I want to go and connect the two worlds, because you can't do subnetting well without the world I was just describing right there. Otherwise, you're just like, here's a /22, here's a /20, because I can select I'm not gonna go. So the point, I hate when I go negative. I'm so sorry, because this is the way that you actually do it. So I always start with 10.0.0.0/8, right? The reason why I use the 10 network is it's so big. This client has 25 locations, but I'm like, what if? I mean, what if 5 years from now they have 200 locations? I mean, I don't want to like max out the subnet and then be like, oh man, why didn't I think of that? So here's where I'm going. This is where it gets really good. Okay. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go, okay, well, these are my VLANs. I need a subnet for each one. This is how many devices or so is in each one of the VLANs, if you didn't pick up on that. So I might look at this and I'll go, okay, well, let's go simple. The servers, there's about 100. Let's give them 10, 20% for growth. I mean, still 10.0.0.0/24. That'll work just fine. Piece of cake, right? Good. Okay, voice over IP, 150 phones. Again, what I'm thinking about is, I'm like, okay, you're not going to grow that much. I mean, you're probably going to grow buildings, and we'll redo the scheme if that's the case. But you're going to stay around. I mean, again, you do about 20, 30 if you want to be really liberal, percent growth, and we're still under a /C. So I'm going to go 10.0.2.0/24. And let's make that your voice over IP network. And right there, a lot of people are like, whoa. You made a mistake there. No, actually I didn't. This I'll call VLAN 10. This I'll call VLAN 20. If there's one thing I've learned through my years of doing this, it's that I'm really going to expect the unexpected. I'm going to expect that they're going to have a vendor come in and he's going to be like, look, I've got... I'm looking at the ceiling. I've got web-controlled fire alarms, and I'm going to put 100 of them in your system. But we need IP addresses for all those fire alarms right there. And I would go, well, I thought of that because I am going to save. I'm going to reserve this little 1.0 for. We'll just call this expansion. And I'm right here between voice over IP and my client devices. I'm gonna do 10.0.3.0. And we'll save that for expansion. So maybe this will be a VLAN 11. This will be a VLAN 21. So a couple of things before I go on. One, there's a guy who's like leaf blowing outside and it's like, and I stopped and I was like, I just can't stop. I got to keep going. So if you hear the, just ignore that, right? Second thing is this scheme. It's not like I'm just like, let's just, I mean, this is like hours and hours of like, okay, let's draw that. So I'm giving you kind of like the answer of the subnet problem. It didn't just, dawn on me as like, oh yeah, piece of cake. So let's look at this client devices here, right here. Okay. 300 client devices or so per site. So that's where I would use my subnetting skills. I would say, okay, 300 hosts, right? How many bits does that take? Okay, 128, 64, 32, 16, 8, 4, 2, 1. And that's not enough. I need to go to 256 and 512 because 300 is bigger than that 255 maximum. So my first one goes right there. I now know it takes 9 bits to get the number 300, right? So I go, okay, well, we've got a /8 is our original, and that's going to be 8 ones and a whole bunch of zeros, right? 24, 24 zeros that are right there. Okay, so if I'm looking at 300 client devices, am I trying to create 300 more networks, or am I saving 300? Am I saving? Let's try that again. Lost it. Am I saving the 9 bits for those 300? It's the latter. I'm saving bits, right? And I'm saving 9 of them. So I'm right to left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and all the rest of those flip over to 1, right? So our new subnet mask goes to a /. What would that be? So and I shortcutted this major. So 8 bits here, there'd be 8 bits there. So it's 6/16. And then that third octet right here, which is kind of a blur of lines, that'd be 16, 17, 18, 19. It'd be /23, right? That would be the subnet mask if I counted up all those ones and didn't shortcut it. What is my increment? It would be a 2. So if I were to, I'm just jotting stuff down here. 10.0.0.0. Now this is in the third octet. You see, this is octet 4, octet 3. So 10.0.2.0, 10.0.4. Now notice I've already used all those, so I can't do that. But right there, hang on, 10.0.4.0, I can pick up right there, .6.0.8.0, right? So okay, that would be one. So I could pick up right there. There's my VLSM in action. I can use so this one. Hang on, I'm just scribbling. I'm telling you, when I get in these modes, I'm just like, go. That's why I'm like, you might just want to watch this a couple times, right? Because I'm just going. So this guy would be 10.0.0.0/24, right? Arizona office. This guy would be 10.0.2.0/24. And this guy, because I'm saving some. This guy would be 10.0.4.0/23. That's what allows us to grow through 4.0 to 5.255, because the next one's going to be 6, right? And then I look at my public BYOD. So when I see 200 plus, I'm like, let's give a little plus, right? We might as well. We've already figured out the subnet mask, this /23, right? So let's just go one more. So why don't you? So you're 4.0 right here for the client devices. How about you be 10.0.6.0/23? So you'll go through 7.255, right? So hang on. I'm gonna wipe this out. I'm gonna cut it. I'm gonna rewrite all this stuff. All right, there we go. And I wrote it in a unique way. I wanted you to see the end range, because you can see, this goes 0 through 255. This goes, 2.0 through 255. Then we come down here. This is our /23. So we go 4.0 through 5.2, right? Everybody following that? I really wanted you to see that, because this is where it gets really good. And this is where I'm like, I don't know if you're ready for this, but I'm going to throw this at you. Okay. Notice all of these guys, this whole thing kind of goes 10.0.0.0, 10.0.8.0, 10.0.16. Now, I know you're like, what? Hey, no, here's what I mean. This is the Arizona office. One little thing. This is the Nevada office. Another little thing. So what I've done here is I've taken, and I know you're looking at this, you're like, that kind of looks like a subnetting problem in itself, isn't it? Yeah, actually it is. This is, I'm gonna draw that, like, okay, so reverse engineer this with me, right? We've been just talking about reverse engineering and the skill, so reverse engineer this with me. What subnet mask would give you this? And I would look at that and I'd go, okay, well, that'd be a 255.255, because this is all the same. And I go, okay, well, looks like we have an increment of 8 in that third octet, so I'd go 128, 64, 32, 16, 8. 0, 0, 0, right? That's how I would get that increment. All the rest is 0. So this third octet would be a what? 248, right? That's that converted back to decimal. My increment is an 8. So hang on. Or this would be 8, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21 /21. Or I could write this up 10.0.0.0/21. And this one 10.0.8.0/21. 10.0.16.0/21. Wait a sec. By golly, I think we've got a repeatable thing here. And I think you just learned route summarization, which is what that is, by the way. It's taking all of these little subnets right here and saying, well, let's just kind of roll them all up. What's a good advertisement that could just encapsulate all these? And so we've got it. Boom, right there. That's a single route, a single advertisement that summarizes all these little subnets into one advertisement. Now you might like that. I know you're like, what do I use that for? A lot, because route summarization allows your routers to be way more efficient, because their routing tables shrink way down when you do stuff like that. So many more benefits we'll talk about when we get into the routing element of things. But that by the way, is like, let me show you something. This is the network diagram that I literally created for the client I was talking about in the very beginning. The organization that helped all the disabled people. This was the network diagram that I literally mapped out 2 years ago. And I had the thought, and I was like, this is awesome. And someday when Cisco revises the CCNA and I'm teaching subnetting, I don't want to do it in terms of just like, oh yeah, that's how you do it. I'm like, I want it to be something real. And this is exactly what we rolled out to them as I was explaining it to their on-staff IT department, their network folks. They said, look, as I'm selling this design that I did, which everybody's like, yeah, this is great. So each one of these sites will have their own little site prefix. You could call that technically the summarized route, right? And inside of them, each one of them will be equipped with 4 VLANs with room for expansion to where, you can squeeze in a VLAN there, you can squeeze in a VLAN there. There's the .1 and the .3 that we were talking about. And that's a nice little block of 8. Now, one of the guys, as I was explaining, he's like, okay, well, what if Arizona outgrows that? I mean, Arizona is where we started and it's grown really big. What if we outgrow that? And I said, no problem. We could just allocate another 10.16. How about we just throw 24.0/21, which if you look right here, that's the first one. 8, 16, that's the next. And I know in my example, I used 10.000. For this client, we use 10.16 as the starting one because they had other stuff in the 10 in the early 10 addresses. So we could just allocate another one and we could say, okay, well, let's just have, VLAN 110, and we'll use the first subnet there and add a whole nother block of 8 subnet, or I should say additional blocks of addresses that you can use. Are you getting this? I know it's like, cause I'm all over the place right now. Just like, I just like, I want to be able to be like, and just like, let my mind just like meld with yours right now, because that's kind of what I'm doing. This is how you take the subnetting and design a real world network about it. So that's all the VLANs in Arizona. Look at this, Nevada. Nevada has 5 employees. We're going to reserve this for them. We're going to say, okay, we've got all these addresses blocked out, but we're only going to we're not crazy. We're not going to be like, let's implement the enterprise in Nevada for 5 people. We'll just throw a single VLAN there and let them build inside of this until they reach a point where it's like, okay, it's time to roll out the standard scheme here. Same thing in Florida. It wasn't Florida. It was a different state. But Florida, we'll reserve this, but just roll out a single one until that office grows and we know that region is viable and continues to expand. Oh, guys, I could literally just sit for another hour and just like, this is where I'm like, let's pour some coffee. Let's say, but this was supposed to be a nugget and I knew it wouldn't. And I wanted you to see that is very real world VLSM. Notice this is the VLSM action. This is the VLSM action where you've got different subnet masks applied all over the place based on where it's convenient. And if that feels like too much and you're just going for certification right now, that's okay. You've seen it. You can back off and go back to the previous video I did where I'm like, here's a very simple, but this is what you're going to run into. This is network architecture. Oh, I've got to stop. I'm going to go breathe in a paper bag. It's so exciting to be able to show you something like that, because even like, I hope that you're like, here's my hope. I hope that you're walking away right now and like, wow, I'm going to need to watch that again. That was a lot. But I think I see what you're talking about, right? Because again, I would say you watch that 2 or 3 times and you're going to be like, I'm awesome. Like you'll be able to really connect all those dots. That's what my heart is for you as you walk away from this. I hope this has been informative for you, and I'd like to thank you for viewing.